Oh great, do I have to review and rant on this show? Oh well, here goes nothing. Today's review will be the 2005 series, and this one is Johnny Test. I was like, really? Really? Why did I watch this show on Cartoon Network? I can't believe it. Johnny Test was originally aired on Cartoon Network, Boomerang, Kids WB, a cartoon programming block on the WB and the CW, Teletoon, Family Channel in Canada, and currently airing on Family Charged, currently known as WildBrain TV, and currently streaming on Netflix. The show involves 11-year-old Johnny as part of the Test family, consisting of his 13-year-old genius twin sisters, Susan and Mary, and his over-the-top parents. His mother, Leela, is a businesswoman, and his father, Hugh, is an obsessive-compulsive house husband. Hugh's two biggest obsessions are cleaning and cooking meatloaf. The Test twins frequently use Johnny as a guinea pig for their various experiments and inventions in their laboratory filled with highly advanced technology built over the Test's household attic. Most of them involve trying to impress their pretty boy next-door neighbor, Gil, for whom both harbor a deep love and obsession, although their attempts to come up with some way to attract his attention usually fail. Johnny is a mischievous and unpredictable boy who causes many problems, often reaching within the city. His best friend is his anthropomorphic talking pet dog, Duke, who Susan and Mary gave human-level intelligence and the ability to speak in an experiment. Because Johnny has Susan, Mary, and Duke by his side, he can live any kid's dream, only to find that most dreams never turn out as hoped. Johnny is very hyperactive and often messes with his sister's inventions, causing trouble and mayhem, but just as often proves himself to be clever, such as frequently tricking his sisters or saving the day from whatever danger happens to show up. He is also stubborn, and like many kids, he doesn't like school. If anything, he will often go to great lengths to avoid any work, often using his sister's inventions to do so, resulting in himself and others getting in trouble. One of Johnny's main nemeses is Eugene Bling Bling Boy Hamilton, a fellow arch-rival of the Test sisters and frenemy of Johnny and Duke, yet also has an unrequited crush on Susan. Another is Sissy Cutler, a tomboy who often serves as Johnny's rival friend. The two may have crushes on each other, but both frequently deny and compete against each other. Missy, Sissy's pink labradoodle, is Duke's rival crush. A third is Bumper Handles, the school bully who constantly picks on Johnny. Meanwhile, the general from the Army Base Area 51.1 and Mr. Black and Mr. White, two federal agents from the super-secret government agency, SSGA, are shown to be close friends with the kids and often get them out of trouble or recruit them for an assignment, help them, distract, or annoy the Tests on various occasions. The writing is a huge mess and can range from being very lazy to too obnoxious. The first season was okay as it did have some decent writing, but despite some decent episodes in season 2, that's where it started to dip in quality, and it went completely down the toilet starting with season 3. On top of that, most of the jokes range from okay to cringe-worthy. It can also be unfocused at times. There are way too many pop culture references. It feels like a discount version of Dexter's Laboratory with its similar premise, and lots of plots are recycled. This also does affect the episodes as well. There are some decent and funny episodes like Johnny to the Center of the Earth, Johnny X, Johnny vs. Bling Bling Boy, Extreme Crime Stopper, Deep Sea Johnny, The Amazing Turbo Action Backpack, The Return of Johnny X, Johnny Hollywood, Johnny Mint Chip, Johnny vs. Smash Badger 3, Johnny Be Good, Johnny Applesauce, and Johnny X, A New Beginning and the final ending. There are a huge chunk of bad ones like Johnny's Royal Flush, Bath Time for Johnny, Johnny's Pink Plague, and plenty of others. The humor is a huge mixed bag as while there were some parts throughout the show that did make me laugh like some of the gags and banter, there are also some pretty bad ones too like the excessive toilet and gross-out humor, the obnoxious comedic sound effects, and the rest of the banter and gags don't really get a laugh. There are some action scenes in this show, and while they were entertaining during season 1 and a bit of 2, the action throughout the rest of the show looks unappealing, mainly due to the animation in those seasons. The animation took a major hit in quality as the show went on. It started off pretty solid with the first season as that one was more traditionally animated with digital ink and paint, and the characters' designs were decent and they did have solid movements, and there were some good effects, even though the backgrounds were pretty lame. But once it switched to Flash, it started to look very awkward, as while the designs were still the same, their more limited and sometimes stilted movements made them look awkward. And when it tries to do more exaggerated emotions and faces with Flash, it can look hideous. The effects also took a hit with the switch to Flash. The characters are a jumble mess, as sometimes they can have their moments, but most of the time they can be pretty forgettable, bland, or unlikable. Johnny himself is a mixed bag, as there are some times where he is a decent character and his actions are justified, but most of the time he's just incredibly egotistical, selfish, whiny, annoying, and doesn't usually care about anyone other than himself. I know he's supposed to be a kid, and kids do act like that sometimes in real life, but even at that, there are much better written kid characters in media. The rest of the characters are just kinda generic and bland, while also having some major issues, like Johnny's sisters Susan and Mary, while also having their occasional moments to shine, are just the generic geniuses who use Johnny as a guinea pig and have a creepy obsession with Gil. Hugh is the generic overbearing and compulsive dad who can be a complete ass. Leela is just the generic hard-working mom. Mr. Black and Mr. White are just generic government agents who help out occasionally. Sissy is the generic love interest who has a love-hate relationship with Johnny. Gil is the generic pretty boy next door. Bumper is the very generic bully. The General is a complete, incompetent idiot. And everyone else that's prominent, like Principal Good, Teacherman, and Mayor Howard, are very forgettable. The villains are all just kind of the same character, only with different motifs. Pretty much all they do is think of ways to take over the city or the world, or find a way to exact revenge on Johnny, like Bling Bling Boy, Beekeeper, Brain Freeze, Dark Vegan, Mr. Mittens, King Zizra, and Wacko. The best character in the whole show is Duke, as he's pretty much the only decent person in Porkbelly, as he is more selfless and constrained than the others. The voice actors do manage to do a decent job with their performances despite the poor material given, like James Arnold Taylor as Johnny and his other characters, Louis Chirillo as Duke, Mary Kendricks as Susan, Brittany Wilson and Ashley Ball as Mary and Sissy, Kathleen Barr as Leela, Bill Mondi and Scott McNeil as Mr. Black and Mr. White, and a few others. The music is pretty bad, as while the first theme song was alright, the second one was a definite downgrade, and while the score in the first season was decent, the music for the rest of the show was dreadful. And so, what is my verdict on this show? I'm giving it EH3 out of 10. Not as bad as Super Noobs, but still this show was no better, and definitely deserved a low rating.